All right, so I want to talk to you about push-ups. Push-ups are a foundational, a base movement that really targets pushing in the upper body about as well as you can get, especially because it can be scaled to become very, very difficult. But the basic unit or the basic push-up needs to be done properly, and most people, myself for decades, did not do them properly and do not do them properly. So I'm going to go over how I perform push-ups and give you the why and the way that I do it. Most people, when doing a push-up, are going to get into a position like this, and you'll notice that my back kind of has this arch to it. It's an extension, right, of the lumbar. And when you are squatting, when you are loading the body from the top, you want a neutral spine, okay? When you're doing push-ups, I like a hollow body push-up, which is flattening the lumbar spine, because when we get into more advanced push-up variations, moving to one-arm push-ups, even if you can't do a one-arm push-up, okay, we're gonna do uneven push-ups, which you will be able to do eventually. We're going to do archer push-ups with your hand out on a elevated surface, which you will be able to do eventually. It's going to work the heck out of your core and your low back, as well as your pressing muscles, as well as the chest. When you get to that point, the hollow body position is going to be the most stable position for your core and for your body, with that type of torque being applied, with that type of force being applied. So while in a standard push-up it may not be a big deal, you want to get used to that hollow body push-up so that when you go beyond this, and a lot of you are already ready to go beyond this, people are doing 30 rep sets of push-ups. If you can do a 30 rep set of push-ups, it's time to make your push-ups harder. And if we're going to make your push-ups harder, then that's when I think you need to be in that hollow body position so that your core is as strong as possible. So basically, rather than being flat with the lumbar curve the way I just showed, you're going to use slight posterior pelvic tilt and squeeze the glutes, squeeze the quads, and so I'll show you that. So rather than a standard push-up you might see like this, you can see where posterior pelvic tilt, compress the abs. Okay, so rather than the chest being flared out and the ribs being open, you're closing the ribs, compressing the abdominals. And I've got a video on hollow body that explains it in a lot of detail, so I'm not going to go deep into it here, but compress the core, compress the abs, tighten the glutes, hands flat, and hands should be flat, not in a wide push-up. Studies actually show that maximal stimulation of the pecs and triceps happen at just outside shoulder width, not in a wide push-up position. So hands just outside shoulder width. The studies also show dropping the hands from there back 6 inches will, via EEG measurement, cause maximal engagement of the pecs and triceps. So shoulder width apart, slide the hands back 6 inches, posterior pelvic tilt, total body tension, and I'll demonstrate that. So you're gonna have hands down, posterior pelvic tilt, compression of the core, and then from here, walk the hands back 6 inches, okay? So then slowly lower yourself. Shoulders will come back. Kiss the floor with your chest. Then slowly up. When we get here, push down through the floor hard for a protracted shoulder. It's only like an extra inch. So it's something you've got to be cognizant of and think about at the top. Protract the shoulder. That just means, so push the shoulder forward that extra inch, and that's going to be the full range of motion. And what's going to happen is that extra inch, that protracted shoulder, that's going to build more strength and stability throughout the shoulder and the chest in a pressing motion. Later, if you really like bodyweight strength training and calisthenics, and you eventually want to get into doing levers, different types of levers, or planche work, which is way, way more advanced, but you're going to need to have strength in that protracted shoulder position. So that's why we want to make sure that we get that at the top of the push-up. So I'm going to demonstrate that one more time. It's not complicated. Keep in mind, slow and controlled reps. The entire movement, there's no momentum. It should all be controlled by your muscles and the tension generated by the muscles. And basically, you're not, and I say this a lot, you're not going for a magic number of reps. You will probably want to record your reps so that week after week you can see how you are doing and make sure that you are progressing. But the tempo with which you're performing these reps should be consistent, and it should be consistently slow. So let me show you, compress the abdominals, posterior pelvic tilt. This would be my normal hand position, just outside shoulder width, so drop back 6 inches, which is, you know, a little less than a full hand length for me. And then from here, you're going to slowly lower yourself down, and then slow on the way back up to protracted shoulder. That's going to be a full push-up. You see how you see what my tempo was. This is why, you know, a work set for you may be 4 or 5 push-ups. And don't worry about the number of sets, because what's important is the time under tension. So if it takes you 4 seconds to do 1 push-up, but somebody else does twice as many push-ups in the same amount of time, you still dynamically moved through that same range of motion for an equal time under tension to them, even if you did half as many reps. What happens is the chances that you used any momentum at all are lower than the other person, and if any momentum at all carried them through any part of their range of motion, then you actually got the better hypertrophy, the better strength. You actually got the better of the exercise versus somebody who beat you in reps but did not beat you in form. So hopefully that makes sense, and that's something I'll talk about a lot. It's something that I sometimes don't, if I'm not thinking, if I'm not mentally involved in my training, I'll notice that I'm going too quickly. Sometimes my form's not perfect. Like, we're all human, and it's why I suggest you video yourself and play it back, so that you can look at your form and see what you need to work on. And like I mentioned quite a bit, practice makes perfect at everything. So no one's good at anything, including, you know, exercise movements when they first start. So it'll get more comfortable. You'll get better as you go. If you have questions, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them.